Hello and welcome to the Blend podcast. I'm your host Mike Ruff, and today we've got the privilege of hearing from someone whose incredible journey embodies the transformative power of apprenticeships. From a challenging childhood and later struggles with addiction to finding redemption and purpose through an apprenticeship, his story is one of hope, perseverance and the power of second chances. Dean Lomas of DC Lomas Limited in Cheshire joins us to share how his apprenticeship not only changed the trajectory of his own life, but how he's now also paying it forward by mentoring and investing in the next generation. Dean, welcome onto the Blend podcast. How are you?
I'm very good, Mike. Thank you. How are you?
I'm great. Pleased to be talking to you. Dean, yours is a story worth starting at the beginning, I think. So how did you first get into this industry?
I had a colourful childhood, and as I was always fixing push bikes at a very young age, we had motorbikes from wherever we could find them from, really, from the age of 10 onwards. And when they were breaking, I used to be able to fix them. Got to 15-year-old, and I got really bored one Saturday because I've always got to keep busy. I've always got to keep active. And I went into the house to my mum and said, I've got nothing to do. I'm bored. What should I do? She said, there's a Beetle engine in the garage. Go and build it. So 15-year-old, I built my first engine. I was on my own. I used a Haynes manual for the pictures because I couldn't read and write at that stage. So it was open up the book, look at a couple of pictures. The pictures look the same as that. Let's copy them. And that's how I learned how to build engines.
It sounds like you discovered your natural talent. So presumably the next step was college?
Because I didn't come out of school with any qualifications, I had to go and get an interview at the college, and no one had to go for an interview to go to motor vehicle, because it was only the unqualified what went for the job anyway. Because obviously my grades weren't that well, they asked me to go into an interview to see if I was actually had the capacity to learn. And I went in for my interview at college, and they said, yeah, it'd be great to have you on board. So 18 months into my college course, I managed to gain an apprenticeship at a Vauxhall dealership. Having gained an apprenticeship at a Vauxhall dealership, the college teachers said to me, where's your college work? I'm like, I haven't done any. And they're like, why? Because I can't read and write. So they said, okay, let's do some night school classes. So I did a load of night school on a Wednesday. I used to leave work and go and do some classes to learn how to write words like repair, warranty, accident, and in them forms, and just throw the ands and the its in between. I've only just learned about how to use a comma and a full stop. But I could build an engine. I could build an engine and gearbox on my own completely at the age of 17. By the time I got to 19, I could do a full body swap on an Amiga Elite. On my own, they just leave me on, and I've got a process of remembering specifically where certain bits go at certain time. I don't know how it works. It's just the chemicals in my brain may be a little different than other people's. I went from there, got headhunted by a Chrysler Jeep dealership, and by the time I was 20, nearly 21, I was running a 3-bay garage. And then I went to my boss and said I need a pay rise. He said no. So I went on the trucks for 10.5 years, trucks and heavy plant. And that taught me that there was no nut and bolt in this universe what will ever beat me. And that was how it's all started. In 2011, I cracked on with bought a van, and DC Lomas happened.
So how did DC Lomas happen? Was it something that you had planned to run your own business?
No, it was just one of them random things. So I was doing foreigners. I'd phone up my boss on a say Tuesday morning. I'm like, listen, I can't come in today because I've got a clutch on, and I'm going to earn more than money off the clutch what you're going to pay me, so I can't come in. And he'd say, do your clutch and come in after that, and then crack on and do the rest of our work. And then I had that many customers, I couldn't go to work anymore. And so what happened from there is I bought a van that had a smashed engine, and over 3 evenings I built the engine on it. On the 8th of August 2011, I sat at home going, what do I call a business? And I went round my friend's house, and he said, you need to call it something like Motor Mate or Motor something. I'm like, well, people are going to come to me for me. And it's my initials, Dean Charles Lomas. And that was it. And just randomly got some tools, got all my tools, put them in the van, went around fixing cars.
When did you decide to make the leap from being mobile to setting up a workshop?
Did mobile for nearly 7 years, crawling in puddles and in the snow and working on bin trucks on the top of tips and horse boxes dripping on me. I was kneeling down all the time. My knees were getting really bad. In the winter, me hands would seize up. I'm riddled with arthritis now. And I just drove around for about 6 months, and I went everywhere and asking, has anyone got a unit? And this one came up, what I'm in now. And I looked at it in the September, and my great friend Mike Bell, who works at Euro Car Parts, he worked for Snap-on at the time. And I got in touch with him. I said, I think I need an MOT bay. So before I even got the building, before I even had a lease, on the viewing of the building, Mike came along. And I'll always be grateful for what he did. He come along, measured the building. He says, your MOT ramp can go there. And I promise you, it'll make you. And then, I got the building, got my MOT lift put in. December the 16th, 2016. I got the keys to the building, and then I just grew into it.
Was it just yourself initially, or did you have an extra pair of hands on board?
No, I've always had apprentices. The day I got me started work, I ran the college, and I said, who is your best guy? And they said, it's John Boy, we call him, as his name. We name everyone with random names because I can't remember names. I'll build you an engine 3 years after I stripped it, though, but I can't remember everyone's name. So John Boy came with me on me within a week of me starting my business. He came with me, and within a year, he was building gearboxes, and I'd shown him the way that I was taught, and he was so unique in that way. And he had a troubled childhood, but I saw something in him. Then I got another apprentice. Then he wasn't good. Then I got another apprentice. Then he wasn't good. But you've always got to have the young kids. You've always got to have someone passing you the spanners, putting your tools away after, making sure that you've got some assistance. If you're doing a gearbox on your back in the middle of a street somewhere, you just need someone to put a bolt in while you're there.
There is a fear when it comes to apprenticeships, though, isn't there? A fear that having invested great amounts of time, money and effort, that they may just leave and move on.
That's one way of thinking of it. If I always thought of that, I wouldn't have a garage, because we've got 3 apprentices here now. If you put in the effort into someone, they'll be loyal enough until they outgrow that situation. Without a doubt, I grew in my apprenticeship to a certain point where I had to leave, and you can't keep hold of anyone who is destined for something else. And this is where you've got to think logical. So within 6 months of getting an apprentice, they can practically do a full service by themselves. They can do a set of front discs and pads on most vehicles. And then within 12 months, they're doing wishbones and rear brakes. So within a 12-month period of paying them not a lot of money, you've got someone who can take that load off your plate. So for instance, I can come in now and I can put the car on a ramp. The apprentice, who's 16-year-old, has been with us for 2 months. He puts the car on a ramp. When he's got the car on a ramp, I make sure we check the lights. He sends it halfway up, and he's doing side, top and bottom, spin the wheels. That has saved me 10 minutes of my time. Then I can speak to you, Mike. That 10 minutes enables me to run the business. He can come to me because I've shown him exactly what I want him to see. You go to the near side front, you check the tyre, you check the wheel, you check the brakes, you check the CV boots, anti-roll bar links, bottom ball joints, wishbones, etc. You check all that. And when I find a defect with it, when I'm showing him, I show him what it actually feels like. Because you can't learn this job by reading a book, I'll tell you that now.
You mentioned that you got through a couple of apprentices that weren't very good, as you put it. So do you think they're being taught the right things in college?
A very controversial question, that. So with the students that we get coming in, we've always got a day release. We've always got a 100-hour person coming in. There's 3 colleges that we get young lads from to come and do the placements. 2 of them aren't delivering any kind of quality. They've just got people on seats who will just about barely scrape a qualification, who will then put that qualification in a drawer and carry on with a different career. The society's broke where you're thinking they're only earning money by getting people on a seat, so they're only doing it for financial gains. You shouldn't do anything really for financial gains. You should do it because you know something's good's going to come out of it. And then the money will come in the end anyway. So would you rather have, when I did my college course, 34 people started on the first day I started college. There's 4 of us left in the trade and 3 of us own garages.
What makes a good apprentice?
I want the people who get into trouble because they've got something about them what needs taming. Because I was the kid who broke the windows and got in a load of Myra as a kid, and then I went down a really dark path in my early 20s, etc. But because I've got a unique way of thinking about things, that's what made me so good at stripping things down and putting them back together properly.
When you say you went down a dark path, was it your apprenticeship that put you back on the right track?
When I was a kid, it was a challenge. I mean, when I was a young kid, that's due to home life, etc. But what that brought me into a lifestyle of where I thought that I was chasing money, and the only way I could chase money is by doing illegal activities. And then it was my apprenticeship, as you said, thinking about it, the apprenticeship what kept me on one line, one direction of career that has kept me steady within myself. And potentially, if I didn't have my apprenticeship, I'd be either in prison or dead.
You've been through a lot, and your apprenticeship, well, it sounds like it changed your life. It's clear you support apprenticeships. Is it a case that you're paying forward the same opportunity that you received when you were younger?
Yeah, and that's exactly what I've got to do. I've got to do it because someone gave me the opportunity. And that's how, and I've got goosebumps thinking about it. Someone gave me the opportunity when I was 16-year-old. When I thought selling kilos of drugs was a good idea. When I thought about getting so drunk that when I come out of a nightclub, I'm either going to try and fight with a bouncer who would not have a chance because I'm totally off my rails, or get arrested by the police because I'm trying to steal the lights off the top of his car. You know, I had to be given something which could make me focus on one thing.
Where would you be now if you didn't have that chance?
I'm a recovered addict and alcoholic. And 16 and a half years ago, I became clean and sober. Because in May 2006, I got given 18 months to live. My drug and alcohol consumption was so high, my body was shutting down inside. So at 26-year-old, but as my daughter was turning 2, I was given 18 months to live. Because I was wrecked, I was done. And it took me to completely break down, done, broken, went to the doctors, what do I do? And they said, well, we're going to send you to a counsellor to see how you do, you need to reduce. So I went on a reducing program of my substances, making sure that I didn't fit, etc., because the alcohol consumption and stuff like that. And then it ended up, I was okay for a few weeks, few months. I was going to meetings at night time, you know, and making sure I was getting involved, sticking with the right people. But I couldn't put the alcohol down. And then 12 months on from that, I was broke, done. There was nothing left. I was sat at home. My missus had left me. My daughter had been taken away. I was on bail. I was on all kinds of shit show. And then what happened is my friend kept on coming round, and I trust him with my life. He kept on coming round. He had a key to my house. He'd pull a drink out my hand. He's 6'2", this guy. And I'm not big. And he'd pin me on the floor while his missus had poured me drink down the sink. And he would continue to do that until that one day I found some phone numbers in my phone, a text number, and I said I need some help. And on the 12th of August 2007 was then when I had my last drink. And from that, my life changed. I had to get rid of my phone. I had to get rid of all the people I was hanging around with. I became a recluse. I didn't want to go and see someone because it would jeopardise my life because I was dying. And then what I did is I had a Volkswagen Beetle, 1964 Beetle, small window, and I built a drag racer. So every Friday and Saturday night, I'd stay at work till 1 a.m, and I'd build my engine because it was back to what took me from the beginning. The first engine I ever built was a Beetle engine, and I had the Beetle then, and it took me back to what grounded me, and it was making sure every single part that I touched was so precise that I couldn't get it wrong. And I built that engine, and it took me 18 months to build the old car. I welded floor pans, heater channels, A pillars, B pillars, rear quarters, inner arches. I put a full fiberglass front on it. I took 100 and odd kilo out of the weight, and I was pulling 491 foot-pound of torque out of a 1700 engine. And I started drag racing because I was still chasing something. So I started drag racing then, and I thought, oh, what's going on here? Luckily, I've stuck on that path now. And I sold my Beetle. I built a camper van, pop-top roof. And then sold that and built DC Lomas out of the money. I had 16,000 quid.
It takes a strong character to come through all of that, and to hear how you're rooting for the next generation is inspiring. So with that in mind, what's your advice to someone that's just starting out in their career?
So we're talking about young Alfie. He got his first paycheck 3 weeks ago. And I said to him, that paycheck, you put half of that away in a savings account. Half of it goes in a savings account. You do not touch that until you go and buy a house. Whatever you do, don't go buying a car with it. Don't go paying insurance with it. Don't do anything with it. 16-year-old kid. I said, for one, do not drink Monsters. Do not drink Red Bulls. I won't have you coming in drinking Monsters and Red Bulls because they'll ruin you. You'll spike up. You'll dip down. You'll be up and down all day. Your head will be all over the place. And then with even just 2 basic things. Save your money and don't put crap in you. The lives become better. And he was on the Snap-on van the other day. Just got his paycheck. It's brand new. Got loads of money in his bank. Goes on, he's like, I want this. I'm like, don't spend your money on tools yet. Whatever you do, work out what you need. Put half your money away. So 3 days after he got paid, I said, how much money have you got left? I said, in percentage. He says, 10%. I said, you haven't, no. You got 60%. You're not allowed to touch 50% of it. And then 4 days after that, how much money you got left? 4 quid. So by the 8th of March, he had 4 quid left to his name. But he's still got half of his wages in savings. So if anyone with any kind of business sense or any kind of money what's coming in, put half of it away.
Fast forward to today then. Tell us about DC Lomas Limited as it's currently running.
Yeah, so we've got the 2 buildings which are next door to each other. This one's 3,000 square foot and that one's 4,500 square foot. 7.5 of us on ramps all the time. We do the jobs that no one else wants to do. So we are classed as the epicenter of shit jobs in this area. So you get the car come in, we see it every week. My car's been to 3 garages in the area and you're the only one that can do it. Well, that's great because we're going to charge you correctly so we can do the job. We're doing tons of cam belts, clutches, wet belts, engine swaps, bigger jobs. I would like to say we're doing between 8 and 12 MOTs a day.
What's the biggest challenge for your business?
Emotions, people's emotions. I try to embrace them. I really do. I really do. And it's... you know, I love them all to pieces. I could not wish for a better team with me. Every single person in this building has a unique skill, what they bring to us. And they're part of us. And we treat them so well. You know, Acer, who's my master tech, he loves Fiat Pandas and he loves racing, so we built a race Panda, which is ridiculous. The most expensive Fiat Panda in the world. But as you say, what's the most challenging thing? I'm the most challenging thing in this building. I get involved in things I don't need to get involved with. I answer the phone too much, which then takes me off whatever my priorities are. I walk off halfway through conversation because my brain wanders and I see a squirrel and go. But as well, I'm the greatest asset. Because a customer will come in and they'll complain or they'll be unhappy with something somewhere, and within seconds they know exactly why we've done what we've done. Because I can express the quality and the love that we put into every single job. So it's a flip-sided coin that you just asked.
Is now a good time to be running an independent garage?
No. When I started off, I'm glad that I put the investment into it. I couldn't do it again. With all this gateway access and all the integration where we have to plug into a mainframe network, to main dealers, to simply wind off a brake caliper now, is getting ridiculous. It's unfair. That's what it is. A standard wheel bearing used to be on the back of a car. You take the wheel off, you take the split pin out, you undo the centre nut, you take the drum off, you bang a couple of races out, you repack the grease with a new race, bang the new races in, repack the grease, done a wheel bearing. Now a rear wheel bearing is £1,000 to £1,500 a tool, so you can remove that wheel bearing and refit it. But not only that, you've got an ABS sensor in there which you can't damage, because when you take it out, you're going to have to tell the customer, I'm sorry, but your £80 sensor is now failed because we've been disturbing the area. So you've got to overquote every job, which then scares customers. And then once you've done that, do we have to do an ADAS calibration? And then we have to reprogram and do a software update because it won't accept an ADAS calibration, etc. And to what extent does the garage owner have to diverse into an area to make the job done properly?
How big of a challenge was learning to run a business?
I'm still learning because I speak to loads of people within the motor vehicle industry who went to business school. The only business I learnt how to do is how to sell stuff on a street corner. I didn't know anything about VAT and tax, and that's what Sam, my lovely wife, she is absolutely phenomenal. I could not live without her because she does everything for me. She is the backbone of what we all are. I've got to praise her as much as I can because she is that good at what she does. So a letter comes in the post. Well, I can't read properly, so I don't read letters. So I have to give that to Sam. So Sam has to do all the HMRC, the VAT returns, etc. I've got to do cost reports. Luckily, I've got two friends what work for HSE. So they come in for services and MOTs, etc. And then we do a walk round and they say, you need to do this. And I'm like, okay. And you need to do this. And here's a folder and this is what you need to fill out. And you haven't got that on your wall. And so I've got a lot of support network because I could not do this without people around me. And this is why I've joined the Autotech, because I've got information that I know about running a garage, what some other people don't know. And if I can give that information to someone, and then they pass it to someone else, etc. And then there's like Tim Benson, who went to college and is really clever and things. He then can pass information on to me because I don't know. The skill in running a business, the only way I've learned how to own a company is to learn how to satisfy a customer. The amount of times I say in a week or a month, it's okay for 3-4 months, come back then. I want you to drive past, let me look at it, you drive off. Because I want customers to trust that we will never ever rip anyone off. We'll never ever oversell. Maybe I'm the worst businessman in the world.
Where do you see the business going? Have you got a long-term plan?
So I've got a scope for 3 years. Within 3 years, we're going to have every single ramp fully run by the up-and-coming apprentices. So we'll have a group of master techs. So we'll have 3 master techs. And then we'll have 5 up-and-coming apprentices. They will be from the age of 20 to the age of 16. So if you get one a year for the next 5 years, and then that will bring in enough revenue for me to put away. So then I can start looking at me 13 years. The day I hit 57, I'm retiring. If someone wishes to come and buy the business, that's great. I might gift it to the lads because they've done so well. Sam won't let me do that. My children, they might take it over. But my long-term goal is I hit 57-year-old and I am no longer running this business.
Dean, we're fast running out of time, so before we finish up, if there's one message you'd like listeners to take away from this podcast, what would it be?
What I've learnt recently, and I keep on having to relearn time and time again, you've got to look after yourself. Because I hit a dart pit the other day and I'm back out of it again. You've got to look after yourself, without a doubt.
You've been on an incredible journey, Dean. Thanks so much for sharing your story with us. I have no doubt that it will resonate deeply with our listeners and likely reshape the way many people view apprenticeships. So thank you for your candour and for taking the time out to chat with us.
Yeah, no problem, Mike. And it's been great as well. You know, everyone's just got to love what you're doing. So thank you for that. Really appreciate your time as well.
What a decent guy. Thanks also to our listeners. If you haven't already, don't forget that you can subscribe to the Blend podcast in your usual podcast player, and why not recommend it to someone else in the industry, because we've got lots more insightful interviews lined up for you. We'll be back again next month. Thanks all again for listening.